Welcome to Seymour from the Front Pew podcast, coming to you from the broadcast studio at Seymour First Baptist Church in Seymour, Tennessee, and featuring thoughts and discussions around loving God, loving others, making disciples, and living the life. I am your host, Tiger Brooks, and now, on to the podcast. Well, welcome into Seymour from the Front Pew podcast once again. Coming to you here from the studios high atop Seymour First Baptist Church.
Hey, listen!
And we have been flipping coins and drawing straws, and
Hey, I just had a bright idea.
Oh, are we changing the topic?
we'll let you know if it's
For a future reference, because that little sound bit is from Zelda, right? So what if we did a podcast, we recorded a podcast while we play Zelda sometime? I haven't played Zelda.
Oh, I loved Zelda.
I did too.
Yeah.
I couldn't say that I've ever played it.
Oh, man.
Gosh, yeah, I loved it. It wasn't
That would
like
be kind of fun.
my top.
I mean, I grew up
No,
in the
but I
height
mean, it'd be
but I
kinda-
liked
of
Zelda.
the whole
Give us
video.
something to talk
I was around for the advent of video games and the height of the video games, and
He was also around
never
for the
been
advent
much of a
the
video
motion
gamer.
picture.
I'm the last guy. Once the controllers got more than two buttons on them, I was out. I mean, we had a joystick and one button on that Atari deal, man.
when you went to the trigger, you were done.
Yeah, once it had the buttons on the top and the bottom and the thumbs, and there's like 8 buttons and slides, and I'm
Even
out.
Duck Hunt? You couldn't do Duck Hunt?
Oh, I mean,
That
yeah,
was a gun.
Yeah, that was easy. That's one trigger.
yeah.
That's
I
all you
mean,
do.
and I've like the first-person shooter games or whatever they call them now. That's fairly decent,
Yeah.
but once you get into like Madden and there's 27 things that you can do, and you know this controller, and you got to get all the combinations, I get dusted.
It's also remarkable how much one little piece of dust could ruin your entire day.
Yeah.
oh,
Trying to get that dust out of that.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
spitting constantly on that
Yeah.
thing. Put it in, start it.
Little cartridge.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even worse, you get through like 10 levels and then it does it.
Yeah.
And you have to take it out and restarts the whole
Start
thing
the
because
whole
there's no
thing over.
saving.
So we had Pong. Y'all ever seen
yeah.
a Pong console that had black and white?
Atari. I can remember
Yeah,
having
I saw those
Okay.
in the museums.
We had Pong, and then I never had an Atari. My cousin had an Atari. But when Intellivision came out, Intellivision was like the next advent after Atari. Intellivision was like primo at the time. It was like, Nintendo coming out in its day. But then Sears Roebuck came out with their version of Intellivision, and it would play Intellivision cartridges, but it was a cheaper game system. I had that one. And
I know that one. I hadn't heard that.
and so, the controller was different. I guess it looked more like it had like the full numbers. It was like had 10, almost like a phone. It had like all 10 numbers and 0 and all that stuff. So, and it had a dial that you would control it. It was a long, slender thing. And so they had the football version of that. And you would put in a combination of numbers, like 4 digits, to do a play. And so I got pretty good at that one. And there was a few other things that it had. It was light years ahead, light years away from what we have.
I can remember playing hardball on like Commodore 128, like on the first computer versions.
Yeah.
And but the pitcher and the batter both had to use the keyboard in order to
Yeah, you
play.
use
So like you were sitting here like
one
this,
was
and you-
ASQ and one of them was the
right.
numbers.
And
Yeah.
you had to like flip
Yeah.
whatever. You had to change seats whenever the inning switched because you had to go the other side. Or
I think it was Everett came home recently and he was like, I found this new game. Awesome. It's called Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail.
And I was like, yeah, have you died of dysentery yet?
Contra, Contra, and you had to do the secret move before the game loaded so that you got 99 lives.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah,
We
it's
got
like-
the boys when the new systems like the Nintendos got, I don't know,
Yeah, all
hundreds
the
of them
old
on them,
games.
the old ones on them. and we've been playing back through the Super Mario Brothers and all that stuff. And like, Dad, how are you so good at it? I was like, boys, you have no idea.
Back in my day. That's funny. Do y'all remember the not the video game? I don't think it ever. Maybe it was on a console, but the actual video game Track and Field that was in the arcades, where you could you would run
because it had the ball.
Jump.
It had the ball, and you had to
had 2 buttons and a ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you would do the thing. Well, back when I was a kid working for my dad, there was another older guy that was working there too. He was a savant when it came to that game. And we would, on our lunch breaks, we would walk across the street from where my dad's station was. And there was, it was the Kingsport Mall, which was the first mall that we had before they built another mall. And there was an arcade in there. And we would walk across 4 lanes of traffic, go to the mall, and he showed me his trick on playing Track and Field to where he could run really, really fast. And he would do this thing where I'm going to try to, do this for those of you that watching along. You got 2 buttons, and rather than like do this, which is, you're running left and right, moving your feet, he would do this. And I was like, and I got to where I could do it. You just do that, and then all of a sudden you're throwing the javel, or you're high jumping, and you just have to hit the button to jump and affect whatever it is you're doing. And I got pretty good at that. And I was like, from then on, I was like, well, let's go to the arcade and find Track and Field, and I'll get the high number on it. That was the only game in my entire life that I ever got to where I was competitive with other people on it. Mm-hmm. I just didn't play that much. That and Galaga was one of my favorites.
I remember. I love Galaga.
Yeah.
Never got into Pac-Man was okay.
There was some game at the arcade that I used to go to that you would drive and had a gun. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that
like
one.
007 or something like that?
No, it wasn't that nice. It was 2 names. It was like
Spy Hunter.
Maybe. And you're driving and you got
I remember some of
things. And that was like my favorite arcade game.
Yeah.
I never remember
I don't remember that. I don't remember doing arcades very much. We didn't do the arcades. Like I had the gaming systems, and we would get those regularly, the ones that came out. But have you seen the movie Pixel?
Yeah.
Pixels, like that's kind of what we're doing right now. It's talking about the old video games, which I thought it's fun going back and playing them. And
Lucky and Wild.
Lucky and Wild. That's it. Yes. Okay. Oh man, I need to find one of those.
That sounds like an entirely different video game that's not suitable for talk on
Lucky and Wild. That's what it's called. Okay. I didn't know that one.
We just pulled out our Nintendo 64. I'm trying to get it. It's not working at the moment. I'm trying to get it back. But I think it's connections.
We've got a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo that when my parents moved, they gave it, and we can't get them to work.
Yeah. We're still playing on
my
old
this guy.
Xbox.
That's what I was going to say earlier on the games. I follow this guy that repairs a bunch of that stuff. So he'll take it all apart and repair it, and he'll take games apart that won't work any longer, and he'll find like what's wrong with them and repair them.
Fix the circuit board or something.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm not that detailed or patient.
Yeah.
So
I don't feel like all the new ones that are the throwbacks.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they respond. I don't.
They
in my memory, the response time of like Super Nintendo and stuff, it was still good.
Yes.
Nintendo. Those things, they always have glitches. It doesn't seem to work.
I think it's the controller and or once you add a wireless element to it.
Yeah.
It's like it slows it down, the response time down. So anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
that
hey,
had
as
nothing
much
to
as
do with what
we
we were going to
struggle with
really
topics to come up with, I just randomly had the thought as you press play, and we've got 9 minutes of nothing.
So
welcome.
We opened the mics thinking that we were going to talk about what we would want parents to know if you are a parent of an MVP soccer player.
Yeah.
And,
I would say any soccer.
Yeah.
I think it could be any soccer and
any sport.
Let's
really,
set that up by saying I think that soccer has quickly become the sport for kids these days, probably.
Arguably.
But more kids are playing soccer in America now than
any other
ever before, and yet the parents don't know anything about soccer. So a lot of people are learning soccer as adults for the first time watching their kids. And I was in that boat.
Mm-hmm.
You played, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't play soccer, did you?
A couple years. I played a couple years 9, 10, 11. And then I stopped because of baseball and basketball or whatever else. But I had exposure to it, and I had like all of my friends played it. So like I was still around it. Still didn't understand it
Right.
until high school, probably.
So, and that's what I think all those parents.
Our
who were
high school
out-
started a soccer team while I was in school, like maybe my 8th grade year or something like that. But yeah,
they
There
just
was-
don't. They don't know the game.
There was a core. Thinking through what you just said, and I think through where I grew up in Kingsport. There was years ago, possibly late 60s or early 70s. There was actually an Italian guy that moved to our area, and he brought soccer to the area. In fact, they established the Kingsport Youth Soccer Association, and this goes back to what I'm talking about. And so those like everything, those leagues began to form, and the little leagues began to form. Then there was a store that came to town that sold a lot of the gear to everybody, and then that fed into the school systems, and into the early 80s to mid 80s. Dobbins Bennett won several state soccer championships. And I think it was because you had that element of coming in. And of course, in the South, that was a fugitive from the law of average. I mean, most of the time here, it was football, everything. Then, baseball, basketball, those kinds of things. And soccer still, I think, is on the come up, relatively speaking to everything else. But I think what you say is true. Most of the parents that are involved as their kids are now playing don't really have a strong grasp of the rules of what's going on.
yeah.
And so we bring this up, and I want to get into what we're talking about. But our MVP league, we've talked about it on here a number of times. It's kind of a big deal. We have almost 500 kids.
As many leather-bound
routinely.
Over.
leagues.
So
Smells
we're
rich
near
mahogany.
550 this spring.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of kids,
playing.
a lot of parents, a lot of aunts and uncles and mamaws and papaws and all that kind of stuff out there. And we're over halfway. There's only 3 weeks left, and I think in the season. And so we've had a little bit of a sample size to judge on over the past few weeks of things. And so let's just kind of throw some things out there. What we've observed that needs attention.
So soccer is the 3rd largest youth sport in the U.S. Basketball's number 1, football combined, flag and tackle, and then soccer is 3rd. So it's overtaken baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So yeah. Anyway,
Wonder when.
I don't know.
When did that happen?
I don't know. They're close, but it's overtaken it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Because to me, when I started seeing course, I played my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played since I was 3 years old. And to me, I remember growing up playing soccer and thinking, not many people play it, but it's a sport that I love. I enjoy it and whatnot. But I started seeing a change in the dynamic of soccer and the perspective of soccer in the life of people around me in 1999, whenever the U.S. women won that World Cup. Mia Hamm, Brandy Chastain.
Wait, that was 27 years ago now?
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I distinctly remember watching that game and the excitement of the World Cup. And prior to that, I don't remember watching the World Cup a whole lot. Like, we never had a men's team, and we still struggle to. They're getting a little bit better, but, we've always had that women's
Side
team.
note, have you seen the jerseys?
Yeah.
Dude, they're awesome.
Yeah. Again, I think that's part of it. That goes back to football. They're kind of doing what football did, that you started seeing football kind of have these fun, exciting jerseys, and so soccer's doing it to try and draw the attention a little bit, which I think is smart, and they want to play with those and do some different things. But that is interesting. That I didn't realize it was number three.
It's 3. Yeah.
I didn't.
And it
realize that.
looks like it will actually, because it's growing faster. There are other sports growing faster. The fastest growing youth sport is women's lacrosse, which again, even around here, is not that surprising.
Yeah.
But
if you've not seen that documentary on that, the 99,
yeah, it's fun.
that's a good.
But it will
that's a
likely
good,
soccer will
not
likely
serious documentary, but that's a really good one.
Soccer will likely overtake football for number 2.
Wow,
I believe
it will
that.
not catch. Basketball is much higher.
it's good.
I think probably because basketball, one is you're already age graded, and
Yep.
you are significant numbers of people that can play that.
It also is primarily a winter sport and is not competing with other
Yep.
sports at that
True.
time of
That's
year.
very true.
So if you're going to play multiple sports,
Yeah, it's not going to compete.
you're going to
with
have an
basketball most of the
outside,
time.
right? Yeah. Whereas football and soccer are going to compete.
Yeah, so if we bring this back around on soccer some, I think one of the things, all of us have kids that have played other than Tiger, and there's a lot of misconceptions about soccer that people, especially our age or people that have not been around the game very long, don't understand, or they have the wrong concept of what's going on or the approach. And one of those, just right out the front, is that there are people that believe soccer is a non-contact sport, and that is just not simply. It's not true. It's not true at any level. I mean, from U6 all the way through professionals, soccer is not a non-contact sport. Now, you don't have much equipment. I mean, you've got a ball and shin guards, but even as you get older, most of the players don't like the idea of wearing shin guards. My boys did everything
smaller
in the
and
world.
smaller.
They would buy U6 shin guards to wear for high school, so because they had to have them in. But soccer is a contact sport. I mean, like, you're going to have players that run into each other. There are legal ways to run into each other, and there are illegal ways. Yes. And
I
as
teach
the game,
my boys to use their body.
and as the game,
Positioning
especially
is huge.
we think about MVP, when we start to get to U11 and U14, there are ways that they need to learn how to use their body to shield and either create contact, or there's going to be contact that's legal. And so, like, but you'll hear all the time people on the sideline talking about talking about that's a foul, or soccer's there's not supposed to be contact in soccer. Well, that's just not true. That's not that's not the game. That's not what soccer is. Generally, again, if I was talking about this with parents, and y'all correct me, but anything that's shoulder to shoulder is legal. Anything where contact is initiated back to front is legal. So I can go get in front of somebody and shield them. If it is front to back, it is illegal. I cannot run over somebody from the back, but I can, from my back, shield somebody away from the ball, kind of thinking about like blocking out in basketball or whatever. And so those types of contacts are legal. I can, what did I say? Anyway, boxing out. Anyway, so, and then contact. One is no sliding in our league at all.
Right.
Really, sliding high school first level. Where
Junior high.
You do it in junior high?
Yeah,
okay,
junior high
you can do it in junior high.
It's all about cleat.
If you
All about where your cleat is. Cleat up.
If
Cleat
you
up.
slide and make contact with the ball first, you're legal, right?
Well,
But-
it depends on how you come in.
Correct.
Right. Cleat down, you're fine.
If you come in cleat up,
If you come in cleat
That's
up,
illegal.
that's illegal.
Okay.
And
Does that make sense?
But there is a sense, if you make contact with a player and not the ball, it is going to be illegal contact.
now if I do it, if I come in and I'm like sliding with if I come down on my left hip, I'm sliding up, but my right leg is up in the air, they're going to call a foul on me.
Yeah.
Because I'm tripping the player.
Yep.
Okay.
But if the ball creates the tripping,
Yep.
that's legal.
But it's also very subjective on some level.
Yep.
There are the set rules, but a referee, just like in basketball, like a referee is going to call a game to a certain level of tightness.
Yeah.
And we all might have opinions on how tight that is, but the difference is, I think, generally, at least my experience, specifically here in Seymour, is that when you're at basketball games, people kind of understand what a foul is.
Yeah.
They understand that boxing out is not necessarily a foul. Now, coming up and over is a foul.
Yeah.
And so they're going to holler about that from the stands. In soccer, a lot of people think any contact is a foul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just
not.
sheerly not true.
Yeah. Now, once you start getting elbows and hands, it's illegal. Like, you can't grab at somebody, you can't push somebody off with your elbow. But I mean, I can tell you, lots of times I saw Caleb Kane come in and run someone over because it was shoulder to shoulder, and he was allowed to come in.
Yep.
And I can run as hard as I want to, hit you in your shoulder, and if you go flying, If I
foul.
did that shoulder to shoulder, it's legal. If I don't take
Correct.
my elbow and pop you up or whatever else, that's legal. And so
And if you
now we
bear
don't
down-
have that at MVP. So like
No.
Yeah.
all of that is calmer.
But it is
in our
very
league.
important. The transition we've made here recently is that as you get, especially into the U14 league in
our
MVP,
league, yes.
Yeah.
if you are, this is what I've tried to talk to Everett and then to other parents about. If you're thinking, I'm going to go on from MVP
Right.
to the next level, and you still think, don't touch anybody.
Yeah.
You're in
trouble.
for a rude awakening when you get out of it because, like from our experience, we turn around. If you were to play an MVP one season and then come play for Seymour the next year and go up against Sevier County, and you think that any kind of physical contact is a foul, you are going to get absolutely manhandled.
Yeah.
And you've got to start to get comfortable with body positioning.
Yeah.
Definitely by U14, I would say.
When we say body positioning, it's specifically on defense,
Yes.
like using your body on defense.
To shield the ball from where your where the other opponent is. I started it with when I was coaching for MVP at U11. I began to talk about body positioning makes a big difference because a lot of times these kids get a ball and they just go. It's either just kick it or go forward. That's not going to work for you when you have a man on.
Yeah, and
You've got to understand body
to
positioning.
speak to that, like our MVP is a developmental league. That's what we want it to be, but we want it to have a spot for anybody that can come and play that wants to play. But our goal is that by U14, what they are looking at looks much like the game that continues on after that.
Right.
That it looks like our U14 players have a concept of the game that they could go to middle school and play that role, that game, or whatever else. It needs to look more like that. And so our rules do progress as they go, but by the time we get to U14, not all contact is a foul. We do have fouls and yellow cards and red cards, and there are penalties, and there are those things, and all of that are called. We do our best to try to call it right. There is offsides. Offsides is the hardest concept for everyone to understand, so we can kind of switch to offsides and talk about it for just a second.
So what's funny is this weekend my parents came in to watch a game, and we were Seymour played Halls. So we were out in Halls, and we had some offsides problems. And I was trying to explain. My parents don't know anything about soccer.
Right.
I was trying to explain offsides, and still didn't get it. Then
It doesn't help that it was not getting called right.
no, and it was not getting called right. So I'm trying to explain it. And there's other parents in the stands who still, we're talking middle school soccer. They still don't understand, and their kids are been playing for a while. They still don't understand, so they're hollering about it. I'm like, oh, that's not offside. So then we watch. Everett and I have been watching all of Miami's games. That's every weekend we watch Miami soccer game together. And at one point we were talking about offsides. My dad's watching, and so we're on the TV. It's a little easier.
Because you can
and
stop
I
it and you
said,
kind of look.
Do you want me to pause it and explain it? He said, wait till the game's over. And then let's go back to this and explain how this works.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of just don't understand offsides.
So a couple things.
What is it?
So a couple things. One is offsides can only be called on the offense. It's not going to be called on the defense. Okay, so like it's only an offensive foul. Like it only happens on your offensive end. Okay, and so basically, I'll try basic terms. Y'all help if I miss it. But an offensive player cannot be past it's actually the second last defender.
Don't include the goalie.
The goalie
Don't
and
include
one
the
other
goalie.
defender. He cannot be past that without the ball, or without the ball being sent to him already. So it's like an invisible line that travels up and down the field with the last defender.
But will not go past midfield.
Yeah, but does not go. It does not go on the other end of the field. It's always on the offensive end of the field. And so whoever is the last defender, and that last defender can change. It can change in a moment's notice. Whoever is the last one before the goalie, that line is constantly there, moving back and forth. back and forth. And so if you are the striker, the first offensive player, you cannot be behind that last defender without the ball. You can go past him with the ball. You can have a pass that's coming to you. And as long as you are at the line or behind it when the ball is sent, when it's passed.
You have to be behind the line when the ball is passed.
Sent.
When the ball is passed.
So
Now,
once it is off of the foot of that offensive player,
you can go offside.
You can go offside.
you can go offsides because if you can sprint faster than that last defender, when the ball, if you're
Ball's in the air, you can go
defender's
past it.
here, the pass goes. If you can run past him, not offsides because it's at the point of the pass, not
the pass.
at the point of the receiving
Yes.
of it. And that's where a lot of people
And a
get
lot of
it.
people, even referees, they will say they call it like you have to be behind the ball. You don't have to be behind the ball. You can get ahead of the ball and past the defender as long as the ball is on its way to you. Let's say there's other nuances to the rule that often people miss also. So let's say you are in offsides position. You get offsides before the ball is sent to you, but you never play the ball. You're not offsides. There cannot be offsides until the ball is actually played. So you can keep running and the ball can keep going. Now, a play on the ball can be. It doesn't mean you have to hit it with your foot. Like
you distract the
you can make a
keeper.
play on the ball without actually touching the ball, and they can call offsides at that point in time. But if you're in offsides position when the ball is sent, but then it deflects off a defender, there's no offsides.
Yep.
Because it's deflected off of a defender, and so it's no longer a pass. The ball is free game. It's fully open. And then there are 3 times where there are not offsides. There are no offsides on a throw-in. There are no offsides on a corner kick. There are no offsides on a goal kick. Yep. So if the ball is coming in to play from out of bounds, there is no offsides on that play. And that's hard to understand.
It is hard to understand. However, if on a corner kick, let's say on the corner, there is no offsides, but once it touches an offensive player, then there is offsides in rule. So if you've got a corner kick that comes in and you've got a guy that's offsides, he's not offsides during the corner kick. But if another offensive player touches it and passes it to that guy,
he's offsides.
Then he's offsides. It can only go to him when if he's offsides first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that becomes a problem too.
Because there's a lot the overall concept is not that hard to understand, that I can't be past the last defender. But there are nuances to it that make it a little bit harder to fully understand, like the deflections, like the idea of playing the ball.
Well, that makes more sense to me thinking about that's why we see a corner kick coming in. If a guy's, if you're at a level where you can put it in front of the goal,
right,
and your offensive guy heads it in, and he's the deepest person, it's legal because it was a corner kick.
Correct, because the ball is coming in from the inline.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Just quickly, if we talk through it, and y'all have not talked very much, but out of bounds, like when the ball goes out of bounds, if it's on the sides, on the long end, it will always come in via a throw-in. So it always comes in via a throw-in from the sides. So,
which you cannot be offsides on a throw-in.
You cannot be offsides on a throw-in. So, like on the offensive end, like if you're quick, man, you want that offensive player going toward the goal. You throw in over top of the defense, and he's got a easy trick, and that can't be offsides. But a throw-in is got to be thrown over the head, both hands on the ball, both feet on the ground.
I see that a lot in MVP. I'm out there just watching and waiting to do a devotion, but I see like Joe Fannon's referee, and he'll stop. No, somebody will do it with one hand. Somebody won't step right, or they'll take 3 steps, and no, and he'll stop.
That is crucial.
He will talk,
because if you don't know how to do a throw-in by the time you're out of MVP,
it's horrible.
But I can't tell you how many illegal throws I would see in high school still. I mean, like, learn how to do a throw-in. Like, if you're going to play the game, learn how to do a throw-in.
Have you seen the flip throws?
Yeah.
Those are so much fun.
Have you seen the flip throws when instead of doing it, they just chunk it at a defender and hit him in the head?
So the flip throw is it's basically like a front cartwheel where you put the ball. I mean, you hold the ball, put the ball on the ground, and
throw the ball
whip it.
so much further.
Yeah,
because you're getting like a What's that?
Whip action.
whip.
Getting the whip, yeah.
Yeah. So
We had a player on our high school team. He could do a flip throw, and it was as deadly as a corner kick.
Yeah.
For us. I mean, he could put it on the backside corner of a goal, and that's the cool thing. That there's no offside, so it was a deadly. Now
Yeah,
he had
awesome.
to have some run up to it. But
Caleb
it was fantastic.
scored twice. You can't score on a throw-in.
Correct. Yeah.
But if the ball hits a defender,
If it hits
including the goalie,
It's an own
and
goal.
it goes in the goal, it can be a score. Caleb scored twice in high school
Yeah.
from those, where it hit the defender or the goalie and went into the goal and scored. So on the sidelines, it's always a throw.
Mm-hmm.
On the end line, if it goes out on the offensive player, it's a goal kick. If it goes out on the defensive player, then it's a corner kick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always the case. So if it goes out on the offensive player on the end line, then it goes to a goal kick, which is in front of the goal. And then if it goes to off the defensive player, then it goes to a corner kick. And so those are the basic. Those are a lot of the basic things that a lot of people miss, I think.
We were talking about this earlier, just before we recorded the podcast. One of the things that I think parents and grandparents would be helpful for them to know is that when it goes out on the sides, when you're doing a throw in, who gets the ball, who's throwing the ball in, it matters, but it doesn't matter that much. A lot of times we think about it like in basketball, where if the ball goes out of bounds, the other team gets a possession, which 60% of the time leads to a score.
Yeah.
So that is a kind of a big deal. Soccer is so much more about possession.
Yeah.
And if you're at an MVP, how many times have you seen a throw in where they throw into the wrong team?
Yeah. To me, out MVP, our throw-ins usually are going to be a turnover because you just don't have.
There's not
They don't
enough
have the ability to
understanding
get
right
to
now.
that,
So
yeah.
a lot of
So-
times they want to argue with refs or whatever about who it's out on. And I get that maybe there's a sense of justice there, but especially if it's a close call, it really doesn't matter that much. The throw in is just putting the ball back into play. Unless you've got a kid who really knows how to do a throw in or a kid who really knows how to receive a throw in, which
is not happening in
not happening much in MVP.
Well, and that's why you watch
really
high
doesn't
school
matter.
soccer at times, and you don't see this as much in professional because they've got cameras and stuff and they can make the calls. But in high school soccer, there's a lot of times. I know my high school coach. He taught us it doesn't matter if it's out on you or not. Grab the ball, throw it in, because a lot of times the ref will just let it play because it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So go grab the ball. The first one to get the ball, throw it in. Sometimes if it was an obvious call, obviously the ref's going to be like, no, that's not your ball. But if it is somewhat questionable, grab the ball and throw it in.
Yeah.
All he can do is tell you, nope, that's not your throw in. Redo
Well,
it.
that was a big one for me that I had to learn, and I probably didn't learn it soon enough, is that those things just don't matter in soccer. The idea of who it went off of and those throws and those types of things, they just don't matter. There's another reality that, again, we don't see this in MVP, but it will continue on if you fouls that are between the 40-yard lines.
Yeah.
A foul that's in the middle of the field, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It does. In all of our high school career, 7 years, I can remember one time a goal getting scored off of a foul that was anywhere near midfield, and that was, it was a great goal, but it's a fluke. That's not a
I think
normal
the other thing, a lot of people don't watch professional soccer, and myself included in that. This is the first time I watched the World Cup or whatever, but if you watch the professionals, offsides calls, they know it.
Yep.
They don't argue it.
No.
They almost never. So that whole
They also don't
getting
argue
frustrated
in
about it
sidelines.
and
You'll
inbounds,
never see them.
You don't see them arguing it.
Yeah.
It's not like
Never.
basketball where you're like, what?
Yeah.
Fouls, they'll argue.
They'll argue fouls, yeah.
Because it's such a nuanced thing. But they'll argue out of bounds sometimes when it's on the goal line because a corner kick is pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
But on the sidelines and with offsides, they know it instantly and they're like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
They're not arguing.
Aside from rules of play, let's cut to the chase about, let's say, the top 3 behavior modifications that are needed from parents
Yeah.
for regarding MVP. What do we observe is like this.
Please don't bring your dog.
This has got to stop.
That's the second. That's
It's been
pretty
a lot
high.
better the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's gotten better to the last couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
leave the
One is-
dogs at home.
I would say for MVP, but for the sport in general, parents are making the game where it's almost impossible to find refs.
Yeah.
Which means you don't have good refs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is because of what's going on from the sidelines. So understand that your actions and your play, and I have to speak to myself on all of this. Your actions and your are making
attitudes and behaviors.
It's putting the game at risk. And it is a great game. Once you get to see it and know it, it is a great game. It's a lot of fun.
Beautiful game.
It is. And really, man, I enjoyed this weekend at RU14. I watched a good 7 or 8 goals scored. It wasn't just some kid running down the middle of the field and shooting. It was 3-4 passes and then across the front of the goal to score. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
And so what I'd say is like that is a lot different than most of our other games. Is that learn to celebrate those things and learn to pull back from being so upset over a sideline call or a foul or what you think is a foul or those types of things. Is let those things lay and get excited over good play on the field or whatever else. So that would be one of the big things for me. And that's not just MVP, but that starts at about U8 for us at MVP. From U8 up, we've already got the confusion and the arguing with refs and those types of things. So let those things lay.
And never have I seen a parent arguing change a call or affect the outcome of a game.
Yeah.
It's not going to do it. I mean, you're literally wasting your breath, and all you're doing is usually getting the ref mad at you and your team. It just, doesn't help. It's not productive. And I would say, being on the field in multiple ways. I've been on the field as a ref. I've been on the field as a player. I've been on the field as a coach. I've been on the field as a parent, coach, dad, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I've been on it in multiple levels of that. And I also would say that most of the time, even if you're not yelling at your child and you're fussing and yelling about a ref or something that's gone on, I can't tell you how many times I've seen those players shrivel up and just kind of disappear because it's kind of like, well, I know that's my mom or I know that's my dad. And then they become embarrassed that their parent is on the sidelines acting a fool, and they know it all the way down to U8. I mean, obviously that's the case in U14. But then even worse is whenever you got a kid that is on the field that is reflecting your behavior, then that just completely changes things and becomes a big problem.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think for me, as I've seen on the field and the way this has all gone, I would also just simply say, as most of our folks in MVP, they're definitely not getting recruited to play soccer at MVP. There's no recruits coming to look at your kid at the MVP games and watching them. Now, could they potentially, if they continue to improve and get to that point? Absolutely. I think there are players that are getting developed in MVP that at some point could get looks. And yes, that can happen, but they're not looking at your child on our fields out here. That's not the case. And so let's put it in its perspective and what we're out here to do and what it is and recognize that rather than
and that's you look at the goal. There's a twofold. The goal from the soccer aspect as a parent of what you want, if your kid's going to come up through MVP and then go on to whatever's next, if you're wanting them to go out as a good soccer player, one of those goals is field awareness.
Yeah.
It is how to pass.
Positioning.
None of that has to do with the things you're arguing about.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would say, and if they're not having fun at all of those levels, all of it's going to go away very quickly.
It's not about winning and losing, though that is a lot of what we focus on. And it's not about the fouls and stuff like that. Like them understanding what is and isn't a foul is more important than whatever the alternative, we've talked about that a lot, that the big line of delineation as you go up in soccer, not the big line, but one of the big lines is field awareness.
Yeah.
And how to play the field. when you
That's
want
usually moving
your
without
kid,
the ball.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you want your kid to play exposition because that's what he can do and just to kick the ball away, like that's the big thing that kills me with U14
Yep.
is this mentality still of a defensive line that just kicks the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't do anything for you in the end of the day.
Yep.
You're playing.
It
is about.
But RU14, like twice on Saturday, I saw.
Oh, it's gotten way better.
It is. I saw a goal started from the defensive
back.
line.
Right.
It came up to midfield, passed up, forward, crossed, and that's when it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's when it's a lot of fun.
And that gets away from this whole just kick the ball.
That's right.
Just kick the ball. That's not really. So like if you're wanting your kid to learn soccer, these are the goals you're trying to get.
Don't scream, boot it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
anyway,
and then I think the other thing to keep in mind, and again, I feel like we've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
But I remember a certain couple of people who would come to me when I was doing MVP at first. And they just wanted to argue about rules and refereeing and all the things kind of what we're talking about. And I just had to consistently go, okay, we're going to talk about that. But you need to remember that our goal at MVP as First Baptist Church, as the organizers of the league, has very little to do actually with teaching them soccer.
Yeah.
We're trying to instill in kids their value. We're trying to have it as an open door for people to the church. We're trying to use it as an outreach mechanism. We want to develop soccer players, but that is very secondary to what we want to speak into these kids. And so, like, remember that that's our goal. That's what we're shooting for. And like when I coached, not that I'm doing everything right or anything, but my goal was more to teach the kids skill, but also to be a voice into the value of that child, and helping them grow as a kid to find that here's a niche. I'm going to teach you these positions and I'm going to let you thrive at it. And I'm going to try and set you up to thrive in it. And in the breaks, I'm going to help coach you up in how to do better and stuff like that. It's not about all the other nuance. And so like, that's our goal. So don't argue. Don't make a fool of yourself, especially if you're I don't think our First Baptist people are that, but the goal is to develop kids.
Yeah, develop kids, and we're doing that with volunteers. There are very, very few that are paid out there, and so they're volunteering their time to referee. They're volunteering their time to coach, and so just from a civility end is understand that I'm potentially being overly critical and negative about someone that is volunteering to make my community better. And so that, I mean, like, just, I think that's a great reminder for us. Is that, I mean, this entire program, 560 something kids, hundreds of volunteers beyond the kids, is being run with less than 2 full-time employees. Yeah. And if that had to grow significantly, then the program probably goes completely away. Yeah. And so with a greater purpose, with a greater end in mind, we want our kids to be able to see how to act, how to learn their value, how to learn that God loves them and cares for them, and I think that we can teach all those things through the game of soccer. I think our game has gotten better. Like, I think our kids are learning and developing into better players. I can't tell you, we've got 15 to 20 or more kids that have played college soccer that began in MVP. And that's amazing to me. I mean, like, that's a great testament. And so yeah, I think remembering and hanging on to a few of those things is important along the way too. So
I think to use something you said as a segue to maybe a future episode, players reflecting the attitudes of their parents. We'll have to get to the episode where we talk about rather controversial Clark family strategy of what we call pay for pain. And there's or pay for pain gate,
So
where they are giving Everett $10 for a foul.
But that's not a headhunt.
It's bounty. It's what it is.
No, it's not a bounty. It's not a headhunt. It's a Everett. If you do this, we'll give you money because you need to toughen up.
And I will say, yes, maybe this is a bad defense, but one of the things that I'm seeing, we're not that far. We haven't gotten to high school soccer and all that, but we played MVP for a whole bunch of years. We played Emerald for a little while, but we have made the transition to sanctioned middle school soccer. Okay, and out here at the MVP field, Everett could just run around people. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't have contact. Yeah. We didn't understand contact. So when we got to what I would call more real soccer, the contact began to really throw him. Mm-hmm. And he has struggled to understand and to trust his foot skills when people make contact. Yeah. And so we're going, hey, we have started to say, the first one was, if you will make serious contact, we'll give you $1. If you'll make it with the other person, because he out on the MVP field he was shied away from it because it was frowned upon.
Well, and he was the better player, so more than likely it was going to be a foul on. It was going to be considered a foul on him, or at least look like a foul on him.
So yes, we have gotten to the point now where we're going, okay, you've got to get more comfortable with physical contact, and so by him initiating that, and it's actually kind of working because he just in the last week we had 2 games. We have 3 games this week. He went up when he was playing midfield and made some serious contact with a defender and didn't get called for it. And I was like, attaboy. And then the defender pushed back. Well, it got Everett the foul, and then we got the penalty kick. So, I mean, you've just got to get comfortable with
second contact.
Pay for pain.
The one that gets called.
Yeah, I mean it's and it can be tough. So Bennett's first high school game as a freshman, we had just moved here. He ends up starting his freshman year. We move here, and in the first 40 minutes, he ends up with a broken collarbone and is sitting the rest of the season.
Yep.
I mean it's a real contact sport game. It wasn't it was probably a foul that wasn't called. It might have been a little bit of a dirty play, but it wasn't outside of the scope of soccer. I mean, it was what it was.
But I will say, not to whatever. We played Friday night. It was a rough game. Parents were really aggressive. It was an ugly setup. We finished the game. There was more going on the field than I realized. Everett came when the game was over. He came over and he was very upset. Largely because some of the things that other players were saying on the field and how the coaches and the ref handled it. And first thing I did, I was the first one to meet him at the gate. And I hugged him and I said, it's a game. Mm-hmm. Yep. I love you. Everybody here loves you. Mm-hmm. Who gives a rip?
Yep.
You played an awesome game.
Doesn't be a goldfish, right?
That's right. Yeah. Forget it. Goldfish. And so I think I would encourage parents with their kids. We all see ourselves get ugly out there on the sidelines and stuff. I'm very intentional to remind my kids when they come off the field. Well, my boys, Nora doesn't want to play anything, but that. It's a game at the end of the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it has little to do with what you're valued as a person.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and on that, we'll call it a day with this particular episode of Seymour from the Front Pew. We'll talk about more controversial topics in the future. But we thank you for listening. As always, you can share your ideas, what you would like to hear, topics and things like that by sending the email to us that you're about to hear. We thank you for listening. Say bye, fellas.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Seymour from the Front Pew. Our sole desire for this podcast is to glorify God by educating and encouraging His body. If you would like to learn more about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out by email at staff@seymourfbc.org or by visiting our website at seymourfbc.org. If you're located near our community and do not have a church home, come worship with us at 10:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. Until then, we pray God's richest blessings on you and yours as you love God, love others, make disciples, and live the life.